warm welcome to lesson number 17 in our 50-part series on the law of evidence. In today's lesson, we will be seeing section 7 of the Indian Evidence Act. We saw section 6 in the previous lesson, and in today's lesson, we take it a step further. Therefore, this lesson could be understood as going a step beyond what we saw in section 6. Let us have a look at some basic principles before we look at section 7. A gentle reminder first. What are we doing here? We are studying the laws related to relevancy, right? Which means we need to remember 2 points. First, section 3. Then we need to remember section 5. Now, section 3 tells you as to what the meaning of something being relevant is. What is the meaning of relevancy? So relevancy is a connection between two facts, right? It's a relationship between two facts. So one fact is said to be relevant to another. That means to understand what relevancy is, we need to understand that there is a relationship, and a relationship implies that there will be more than one fact. Very important point. Second thing, what is section 5? Section 5 gives you the basic principle of relevancy, which is that evidence can be given only for facts in issue and relevant facts, which means if a certain fact is neither a fact in issue nor it is a relevant fact, then evidence for it cannot be led. Important point. Now, you know that the fact in issue is the main point, is the main issue for which the dispute is happening. But we need some more collateral facts for those to be known, and we discussed that in the previous lesson, that you basically branch out of the facts in issue and start making more such facts relevant that may be helpful in determining the issue. So let's think of it diagrammatically. You can think of this trunk as the fact in issue. And these branches are the various facts which are made relevant by the relationships that are given in the sections from 6 to 55, right? So this is the fact in issue. The trunk of the tree is the fact in issue. But apart from that, you have more things that can be relevant, and that is what you get by the relationship. What you need to understand why I have shown you a tree is because you can see a connection here, right? The branches, however far they go, they are connected, and this connection is what we need in order to establish that a fact is relevant. Also, a quick look at section 6. You can read it by yourself. Basically, what we saw was that section 6 makes some collateral facts, right? Facts apart from the facts in issue, relevant if they form a part of the same transaction. In case you're interested in seeing the lesson on section 6, you can click on the I button here and go have a look at the top right. Anyway, make sure you pause the video and read this first. Now that you've read section 6, I want you to remember that the provisions of the law seldom repeat themselves because that would be redundant, and the laws are meant to be brief. Therefore, they do not repeat themselves. What does that mean? Something which has been said in section 6 will not be repeated in section 7 because section 6 already takes care of that, right? So section 7 will obviously introduce something new to you. So what we understand from section 6 is that it relates to facts which form a part of the transaction, and therefore section 7 would not deal with facts that form part of the same transaction. Of course, they could, but those are taken care of by section 6 already, which means that let us say this was your fact in issue. This is the trunk of the tree. Now the most proximate facts, the most connected facts, the most closely connected facts are these ones, right? Forming a part of the same transaction. You can say section 6 takes care of this, right? Now when you go further away, we saw that some of these things may not be governed and covered under section 6 because section 6 requires it to be a part of the same transaction. And it is to our aid here that section 7, section 8, section 9, etc. could come to our help, right? So we understand that section 6 is confined to only those things which form a part of the same transaction. When we want to go further away, then we look at some other sections, right? Now you might understand that something might fall under both of these, right? It might be a part of the transaction and it may fall under another section. So you must know that sometimes facts may be relevant under more than one section, right? But what I mean to say is that there is no repetition of the concept. So when you talk of transactions, they're all covered under section 6. When something is not a transaction, not a part of the transaction, but the law believes that it is relevant in some way because it is connected logically, then it will be embodied in some other provision. I hope you understand this point. This is how we branch further out to have a look at section 7, 8 and so on. In today's lesson, we will look at just section 7. Again, we understand the relationship of relevancy. So this is the provision given in the law that establishes relevancy. It will establish the relevancy of one fact, right? Which means that you will talk of one fact in its connection with another fact, and that relationship or that connection has to be given in one of the provisions of the law between 6 to 55. Today in particular, we will be seeing the relationship given by section 7. For section 6, just to remind you, we saw that the connection between these two was that they were forming a part of the same transaction. So this is the key word that you need to remember, right? So when you have to remember section 6, you remember the relationship. What is the relationship? The relationship of forming a part of the same transaction. Therefore, your key word for section 6 is the word transaction. Let's now look at what we have to see for section 7. Let us have a look at section 7. Section 7 talks about the facts which are the occasion, cause or effect of a fact in issue. Let's think of it like this. You have the trunk of the tree, which is the fact in issue, right? Now you had another fact here which may be forming the part of the same transaction, right? When it forms a part of the same transaction, then that is governed by section 6. Now you've got one more relationship. So you understood, say for example, the brother. Now you learn another relationship, say the sister for example, or the mother, whatever. So you take another relationship here. Now this relationship says facts which are the cause or effect of the facts in issue, right? Which are the occasion, cause or effect of the facts in issue are also relevant facts, but this time they become relevant under section 7, right? So let's go ahead and have a look at section 7. I will not read it out to you. Just pause the video, take your time to understand and comprehend this provision. Here you go. You can have a look. I will not read this out for you. I would suggest that you gave this at least 2 to 3 minutes, a minimum of 2 to 3 minutes, to understand and appreciate all of these words in it. Let me tell you some points of caution. Okay. You can see that there's this word called occasion. Then you can see cause, effect, right? You can also see something called the state of things. You can also see that something afforded an opportunity for their occurrence or the transaction. Now, try to think by your own self as to what the meanings of these words might be. What is the meaning of occasion? What is the meaning of cause or effect? What is the meaning of state of things? What do you think might be covered under section 7? Pause the video and take your time to understand this. Let me just erase this for you so that you can read it by yourself. Let us look at our template with relation to section 7. Okay, so we have this relationship between one fact and another fact, and now let us see as to what those two facts are. The first fact, of course, is the fact that is made relevant by this provision, right? So I told you, if you remember, that the provisions between 6 to 55 will either declare a certain kind of fact to be relevant or they will declare it to be not relevant. So section 7 evidently is the kind of provision that declares a certain category of facts to be relevant. Okay, so that's the first fact in relation to another fact. Now what are the another facts here? Those another facts are relevant facts as well as facts in issue, right? So if you can have the relationship that is given in section 7, cause, effect, occasion, right? Occasion, cause, effect. If you can have that relationship established between this one fact and the relation and the relevant fact, or between this one fact and the fact in issue, then that fact would be relevant. I hope you remember that in section 6 you did not have this thing about relevant facts here, right? In section 6 you only had relevant fact. You only had fact and issue. You did not have relevant fact when you were seeing section 6, right? It only the another fact is only fact and issue in section 6. Take a moment to have a look at it once again. So section 7, the relationship between two facts. First fact, the fact which is made relevant, right? This one, the fact which is made relevant. Second, the fact with which it is connected. And what can those facts be? It could either be another relevant fact or it could be a fact in issue. Which means, let us say a certain fact was made relevant under section 6, right? Because it was a part of the same transaction. Now, if that relationship of cause, effect, occasion is there between this fact and this fact made relevant by section 6, that also would be relevant under section 7. If you're asked the basic question as to what section 7 does, well, it basically does what most other provisions in this chapter do. It makes the evidence about some collateral facts admissible by making those facts relevant. So there are some collateral facts, there are some outward branches. Those branches are made relevant and therefore evidence for them is made admissible by the operation of section 7. Now, how do you identify, like I said, this is something that even the other sections do, right? Now, how do you identify that something is made relevant by section 7, right? You do that by looking at the words that are given in section 7, right? It admits a very wide category of and a very wide class of facts, but those facts are to be determined by the specific words that relate to the section. For example, when you talk of section 6, then you talk of something being a part of the same transaction, right? For section 7, we saw some words, and now we will look at those one by one, trying to understand a little bit of these so that we now understand section 7. So when we talk of the classes of facts that have been made admissible by section 7, we are basically seeing a certain word which signifies a relationship with regard to either a relevant fact or a fact in issue, right? So we will focus on those words that indicate the relationship. The very first is occasion. Okay, I will talk about it in a bit. And then you have cause and effect. There are more, but I will talk about these three first. Now, what is the meaning of something being an occasion? Let's take an example. Let us say you go up to somebody and you offer him a piece of cake. Okay, it's likely that the person will ask you, "Oh, what's the occasion?" Right? Now, when you have a cause and effect, that is very direct. Let us say, if I were to say, what is the cause of your giving me the cake? Well, that becomes very different. You see, cause and effect is a very direct relationship, that if A happens, then B will definitely happen. That's what is called a cause and an effect. However, it's your birthday. You may or may not give a cake, but the fact that you're giving a cake is occasioned by the fact that it is your birthday. Similarly, let's take an example. Let us say someone has not locked the door of his house, okay, and then there is a theft that happens. Now what everyone's going to say is that, well, you see, you didn't lock your house, see, your stuff has got stolen. Now, was that caused by his not locking his house? Was the theft caused by leaving the doors open? No, that is not what causation is. You see, causation is causation and effect have a very direct relationship. For example, somebody takes a gun, puts it to somebody's head, shoots him. As a result, that person dies. Now, when you're asked what is the cause of death, well, you know that it was the gunshot. So the gunshot is the cause, the death is the effect, right? But when I was talking of this, where you've not bolted your house or you've not locked your house, well, a theft need not have happened if people did not wish to steal, or if nobody were engaged in stealing, then you need not have lost your property, right? So you can say that the leaving of the door open or leaving the door unlocked was something which occasioned or which served as an occasion for the theft to happen. So I hope you understand the difference between occasion, cause and effect. Of course, occasion can sometimes take the color of opportunity, right? Sometimes it means something like opportunity, sometimes it means something like cause, but it is not precisely either of these, right? That's why you have the word occasion here as well. Talking about opportunity, that also is given for you in section 7 itself. If something allows for an opportunity for something to happen, that also is relevant under section 7. And then finally, something which tells you about the state of things, right? So the state of things that were there, and those state of things when you compare it with the fact and issue or relevant fact, right? So when you see the relationship And the relationship is that the fact that we want to see, right? The fact that is to be made relevant under section 7, that fact reflects a state of things, right? To understand this, let us look at the illustrations to section 7. You should get it by the end of it. Again, this is a little intricate. It requires you to pay attention to these words. I've just spoken this to you in a matter of a couple of minutes. It will require more time than that. Give it the attention it deserves. So we'll take the first illustration, illustration A. Illustration A tells you that the question is whether A robbed B. I mean, this is what it is telling you, that this is the fact in issue, right? This is the reason for the dispute. Now it will give you some more facts and tell you how they are relevant under section 7. So it says the facts that, because it gives you two facts. The facts that shortly before the robbery, B went to a fair with money in his possession, and that he showed it and mentioned that he had it to someone else are relevant. Okay. Now this person goes to a fair. Okay. A fair is basically a mela. That means you expect there to be a large crowd, a lot of noise. What was this? This served as an opportunity for something to happen. It was also the occasion for it. Likewise, he has money in his wallet, right? He has a lot of money with him and he's shown it to somebody. Now, is that a cause? Can that be the cause of theft? No. You can show that you have money, but that doesn't mean somebody will take that from you. However, robbery is likely to happen or can happen when the robber knows that you have a certain amount of money. So again, that served as the occasion. So as you can see, in this case, I will use the word occasion because occasion is something similar to opportunity this time, and therefore these are relevant under section 7. So I hope you get the point. Read it again, you will get some clarity. Let us look at illustration B. The question is whether A murdered B. This is the fact in issue, right? Now, the marks on the ground produced by the struggle. So let us say when say B was being murdered by A, so let us say he was being stabbed or whatever. There's a struggle, and because of that struggle he made some marks, let us say with his hand, blood or sand or whatever, he made some marks of struggle. What is this? Is it the cause? Is it the effect? Is it an opportunity? What is it? Take a moment to think about it. What I'm asking you is, there is this person here, okay, he's dead, but before dying he made some signs of struggle, like you could see some blood here, or perhaps you can see blood on the wall also, okay. These are signs of struggle. What is this? It is the effect, as you can understand, right? So when he was being, say, stabbed or he was being choked or whatever he did, that is an effect of the fact in issue, and therefore it is relevant under section 7. You see, when a fact has to be relevant under section 7, it should satisfy one of the 5 points that I showed you a little while ago. It should be a cause, effect, occasion, opportunity, or a state of things. If it is one of these, it becomes relevant under section 7. If you cannot find any of these, then it is not relevant under section 7. All right, that is why these words are so important. Let us go to the final illustration to this section. By the end of that, you should be quite clear with what section 7 means. Okay, the question is whether A poisoned B. Now, the state of B's health before the symptoms ascribed to the poison and the habits of B known to A, which afforded an opportunity for the administration of the poison, are relevant facts. Let's think of it like this. Let us say A suffered from A knew that B suffered from a certain disease. Okay, let's say the disease was that if anyone has, let us say if he has a certain substance X, if he eats X, he will die. This is the state of things. You can see the state of B's health is the state of things, which again is given in section 7. So state of things, right? This makes it relevant under section 7. Okay. Another thing, he knew about the habit of B. Let us say he knew that B has a habit at 8 p.m. every day. He has a glass of something, and he knows that this X can be put into that glass, because what X does is he keeps the glass open at 8 o'clock, then he goes for a walk until 8:10 p.m. and for those 10 minutes nobody's looking at the glass. So now it affords him an opportunity to do that. Okay, So again, opportunity, something which is relevant under section 7, right? So you've got this. When you see any of these words, the fact becomes relevant under section 7, and that is how you understand the width of any given section. So section 6, we've seen if something forms a part of the same transaction, the word transaction being important, it becomes relevant under section 6. If you've got any of these 5 words for section 7, it becomes relevant under section 7. I hope you've got the point. I'd like to ask you a question as I leave, okay? Let us say there's a certain fact, okay? The fact is a fact in issue, okay? So we know that the cause of this fact becomes relevant, okay? Then we saw that under section 7, this is by section 7, right? We also saw that a cause of a relevant fact is again a relevant fact under section 7. Now this fact would also have a cause. This would also be relevant under section 7. And this can go on because everything will have a cause. So you can just limitlessly look for the cause of a cause of a cause of a cause and make that relevant under section 7. Does that mean that section 7 is limitless? That section 7 will make any statement relevant just because it is a cause of a cause of a cause of a cause? In other words, can you have this extend ad infinitum? The answer is no. It cannot extend infinitely. It only extends to those things and to those facts which are connected with the fact and issue, right? So you have to understand this piece of wisdom here, that of course you would deal with the cause, but the cause has to be one that is somewhat connected to the fact and issue. If it is very remote, well, then you cannot bring it under the purview of section 7. So I hope this lesson made some sense to you and you learned something. Thank you so much for your patience. Good day.